Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Of course, double honors go out and are due to the apostles of Great Millstone. All right, apostles, bishops, and elders. Salutations also go out to the Akim out there on the highways across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth on in sincerity, trying to wake up the remaining, hopefully, elect. All right. This is Nama of the DC camp, and as of late, you know, uh, this Islam demon has popped up. So we're going to try to go in and dispel this demon. All right. This article here from the Prophet of Doom says, Dishonest Abe, how Islam rips off scripture and distorts history. True discernment. Nothing is more essential to Islam's credibility than Muhammad's version of Abraham. Islam must prove that he was a Muslim, that his God was Allah, and that he worshipped in Mecca. And Allah just is a Hebrew word just meaning power. That's it. Recognizing this, Muhammad tried desperately, and that's the operative word there, desperately to make the case. We pick up the trail into Tabari's history with something that sounds like Hitler's idea of Aryan supremacy. Tabari 11:21, Ham beget all those who are black and curly haired, while Japheth, all right, which are your the original inhabitants of that area of Europe, your what you associate now with your Pacific Islanders, people of that stock. All right, New Zealand, Australia, Tahiti, Hawaii, Tonga, all those, you know, and even it goes further than that when you think about people. People are mixed over there in Indonesia, those places there. It says, begat all those who are full faced with small eyes, and Shem, it's not Sem, there's no word Sem, that's not his name. So there's no Semite, it's Shem. Begat everyone who is handsome of face with beautiful hair. All right, Noah prayed that the hair of Ham's descendants would not grow beyond their ears. I mean, where the fuck is this? And, you know, it says the slavery, I'm just skip down. The slavery thing keeps reappearing because Muhammad used the slave trade to finance the spread of Islam, which he did. Turning Noah into a racist to justify such behavior wasn't beneath Islam's prophet, but then again, little was. We're going to pass by Muhammad's history lesson on the mythical tribes of Ad and Thamud. Their battles with the Almighty seemed important to Muhammad as he dedicated scores of hadith to them. But I want to focus on the Islamic path to Abraham as it lies at the core of the Prophet's deception. Tabari, 1150, Nimrod was Abraham's master and wanted him burned. The first king who ruled over all the earth was Nimrod. Really? There were 4 such kings who ruled all the earth. Nimrod, Solomon, Ben David, Dual Kornine, and Nebuchadnezzar. 2 believers, Muslims, and 2 infidels. Nimrod only ruled a city-state. True. Solomon's kingdom only included a portion of the Middle East. True. Nebuchadnezzar's realm, like that of Dual Kornine as Alexander the Great, was large, but neither ruled over the whole earth. As for 2 of them being Muslims, Muhammad and Allah are again mistaken. There wasn't a Muslim in the batch. Why? Because it didn't exist then. According to Ishaq Sirah, Tabari, whatever, Allah desired to send Abraham as an argument against his people and as a messenger to his worshippers, since there had been no messengers between Noah and Abraham, except Hud and Saleh, the mythical rulers of Ad and Thamud. Really now? Ooh. If that's true, there couldn't have been Muslim worshippers. 1,000 years had passed with no religious communication. Allah said he destroyed the Ad and Thamud, and he never suggests Abraham visit them. So, in an attempt to establish a religious context for his scam, Muhammad destroyed it. The scenario he has just laid out precludes worshippers, and without them, all he has shared thus far concerning the establishment of Islamic rites and the veneration of the Kaaba could not have been passed along. As time drew near, listen to this. As time drew near, the astrologers came to Nimrod saying, "We have learned from our Lord that a boy will be born in this city of yours who will be called Abraham. He will abandon your religion and break your idols in such and such a month and year." Muslims are attempting to bestow on Abraham, whom they view as the father of Islam. You see how ridiculous this is? The same kind of birth announcement enjoyed by Yahushua. But they didn't have a clue when either man actually lived. Wow. That's just wow. Oh, so they even tried to squeeze the Magi in there. You know, it was more than three. The wise men. Wow. Wow. Let's go to the next one. I mean, that's why the scriptures talk about, it's funny, but it's not funny. It's scriptures talking about fables and things of that nature. Wow. Oh man, these are fables. Let's see, get the other one. This goes into a little bit more. This one is called The Bible and Islam. I'm going to try to get through it as quick as I can. Wow. And all you have to do is just go and see that the covenant was given to Abraham and his seed. That means his bloodline. After him, it's gone to his son, Isaac, and to Isaac's son, Jacob. Jacob had, in all, he had 13 children, but he had 12 men, all right? And through their seed, which is how your lineage is passed on through the male genealogy, you have to look at the root there. It goes into the sperm, and it's passed on down. As long as that line is not broken, descendants keep on. All right? So this is what happened. It's not talking about everybody on the earth. There's so many scriptures on that. You just have to learn to look things up, to do your proper research, and you can understand. I mean, this is so wild, but these airheads, especially Jake, they get into this, and it's like you might as well talk to a tree. You can tell this is a spell. They've been beguiled, and this is the proper time, because that so-called holiday, Halloween, is tomorrow. I'm thinking about that old that version of I Put a Spell on You they play every year by Screaming Jay Hawkins, But yeah, that's what happened to these cats in Islam, They've had a spell put on them. But this is what the Most High wanted. They were purposely blinded, and that was a curse that, David prayed for, because some of his people were just, when you look at all the prophets on down, Jeremiah, Isaiah, even Ezekiel, that went through hell with their own people. There was, in Jeremiah the 9th chapter, he talks about that, that's that scripture I associate with those Southwest airline commercials, you just got to get away. Let's get that real quick. Let's see, Jeremiah. All right, let's see. start at 2. And he says, "Oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place of wayfaring men, that I might leave my people and go from them, for they be all adulterers, an assembly of treacherous men." And if you've ever been around these Muslim cats, just something doesn't feel right. Their spirit is just fucked up, you know. It says, and they bend their tongues like their bow for lies, but they are not valiant for the truth upon the earth, for they proceed from evil to evil, and they know not me, saith the Most High. All right. The NLT says, "Oh, that I go away and forget my people and live in a traveler's shack in the desert. They are all adulterers, a pack of treacherous liars. My people bend their tongues like bows to shoot out lies. They refuse to stand up for the truth. They only go from bad to worse. They do not know me, saith the Most High Yahweh." See? This is what you're dealing with. It's just something, I mean, all the people, even like yesterday, came up to the camp. You can just sense, you know, all these cats. The one we got into an altercation with about 3 years ago, I guess it's been now. He was an Ephraimite, you know. I mean, damn. It's like, that's a hell of a thing. You know, you can even put that under Hebrews 10:31 as a fearful thing to fall in the hands of a living power. All right. These people were given over to that, you know. And Romans 1st chapter, you know. Anyway, you pray that you don't have that reprobate spirit on you. The revelation of the Quran, it says, "There is no more widely recognized utterance of the Islamic faith than the declaration known as the Shahada. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the prophet of Allah." Islam is about Allah and his prophet, Muhammad. The Quran teaches that Muhammad was an ordinary man. Yet, according, you know, I don't want to have to go to the actual, I just want to get this off my phone, get this over with and get this off my phone. Yet, according to Muslims, Allah sovereignly chose Muhammad to receive a series of revelations through the intermediary presence of the angel Gabriel, while Muhammad was praying and fasting in the hills outside of Mecca in AD 610. This is when Gabriel appeared to him. It says, "Many Muslims believe the first revelation to Muhammad was the command to recite in the name of our Lord." The revelations continue into Muhammad's death in 632 AD. According to Islamic traditions, approximately 20 years after Muhammad's death, his recitation, so this was 20 years after he died that this pen was put to paper, all right? It says they were written down and codified into a collection of 114 chapters. Okay, here's the thing. They make such a big deal because they say, well, you know, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, you know, they complain about the difference in actually you get into vantage points. It's like if you got 4 different people, you know, they're looking at things 4 different ways. That's all that is. But they say, well, you know, a lot of that was written after Yahushua died. Okay, so here it is. They're telling you, you hypocrite. Here's the same thing they just read. Approximately 20 years after his death, Muhammad, we're talking about, his recitations were written down and codified. All right, it says the word Quran. It gives you, it means recitations. All right, there's 6,346 verses, approximately the size of the New Testament. And it says first chapter of the Quran is known as the opening. It says the remaining chapters are arranged by length from the longest to the shortest. The Quran and the Old Testament. All right, here we go. The emergence of Islam and the Quran can be properly understood only within the larger context of the Bible and the monotheism of Islam's 2 main predecessors, Judaism and Christianity. These things came before Islam. It just told you that. What is a predecessor? It says the dozens of superficial similarities between the Quran and the Bible are striking. For example, in the Quran, Allah creates the earth in 6 days. Let's go see that real quick. Here it is. All right. Let's see. 25. I keep forgetting that. 59. I don't know why I keep going. All right, so let's go down. Here it is. It is He who created the heavens and the earth and all that lies between them in 6 aeons. And we understand that we're on a different time level, because when you go to 2 Peter 3 and 8, it tells you, well, let's get it. I don't want to just tell you, I want to show you. All right. In fact, let's go to 2 Peter 3 and 8. It says, but beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. So we're not talking about 6 days like from Monday to Saturday that the world was created. Those are periods of 1,000 years. All right. So hopefully you got that. Anyway, so it says the dozens of superficial similarities. Okay, we got that. Adam and his wife eat of the forbidden fruit and become aware of their nakedness. We understand we're not talking about they were running around butt naked. No. It's just talking about they lost their way. The laws, statutes, commandments, the ways of life, when it talks about breath was breathed into them, that's what it's talking about. All right, they lost that. Therefore, they became naked. All right, they started taking on the ways of the others that were around them. All right, go read Genesis 5th chapter. It says, Allah sends Moses to confront Pharaoh, inflict the plagues on Egypt, and lead the Israelites out of Egypt through the parting of the Red Sea. Okay. Allah gives Moses the 10 Commandments on 2 stone tablets, which are subsequently broken. I said 5, but you can read actually from 4 on. All right, so the emergence of Islam in the Quran can be properly understood only within a larger context. It says, throughout the Quran, several of the 10 Commandments are repeated, including commands to serve no other gods, refrain from making idols, not covet. So this is just a cheap ripoff of our book, and it's going to go into that further down. Serve no other gods, refrain from making idols, no covet. Okay, in the Quran, can one read such familiar Old Testament stories as Noah's building the ark and preaching judgment to his generation, Joseph being betrayed by his brothers, sold to a caravan of travelers, and brought to Egypt, King David's adultery with Bathsheba, the Queen of Sheba's visit to Solomon, and Jonah being swallowed by the great fish. There are times, however, when the Quran version has surprising departures, historically and theologically, from the biblical account. For example, Abraham is asked to sacrifice Ishmael rather than Isaac. What did I say about desperately trying to make it in that last article? Trying to make it fit. The Quran and the Christian theology. All right? Islam teaches a doctrine of absolute monotheism known as Tawheed. Absolute monotheism is distinct from the Trinitarian monotheism of Christianity in that the Quran permits no distinction within God. Christianity teaches that there is one God known in 3 eternal persons, and they misunderstand that. There's no such thing as a Trinity. All right? While Muslims welcome the Christian affirmation of one power, they maintain that belief in the 3 persons compromises the unity of God and makes Christianity functionally tritheistic. In that respect, they would be right. All right? Islamic view of Yahweh Shah. The Quran has dozens of references to Yahweh Shah, found in 15 different surahs of the Quran. Yahweh Shah is often called Ibn Maryam, son of Mary, a phrase that appears only once in the New Testament. The Quran also refers to him as servant of Allah, Messiah, and messenger, prophet. The Quran gives Yahweh Shah several honorific titles, including word from him, John 1 and 1, right? A spirit of God, and a sign for all peoples. He's not for all peoples. All right? Several of these titles, Matthew, let's go get it real quick. Matthew 1, and even in the Old Testament it gives, 1 and 1. It says, 1 and 1. But the title here is what? The genealogy of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. So we're talking about a bloodline here, from Adam on down. It goes 1 and 21. And she, the she being Mary, shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahweh Shai, for he shall save his people from their sins. Not everybody on earth. And what nationality? What? He was an Israelite, right? Of the Hebrew stock. So he's coming for his people, all 12 tribes. That's it. And to understand that, we understand that since Islam is a baby of the Catholic Church, what does Catholic mean? It says broad as an adjective, broad or wide-ranging in taste, interest, or the like, having sympathies with all, broad-minded, liberal, universal in extent, involving all, of interest to all, pertaining to the whole Christian body of church. A complete contradiction of what it's really about. So this is what the Catholic Church, all right, when you read Revelation 16 about the 3 city-states, the unclean frogs, all right, you got America as the military arm of the beast. You've got London, that represents the financial center. And then you have the Catholic Church, the Vatican, that is the lying prophet. All these denominations, and you're seeing now, if you haven't seen, I believe it was last month, that they gathered all together. They're trying to form this new world single religion. And guess who was up there kissing the Pope's hand? Some imam representing Islam. Yep. So let's continue. So, several of these titles appear consistent with Christian claims about Yahweh Shah. Indeed, the Quran often speaks positively about him. Yahweh Shah was born without sin to the Virgin Mary and was a miracle worker, all right, whose ministry was foretold by John the Baptist. Yet several surahs denounce any view of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach that would elevate him beyond the status of a human prophet. Indeed, some passages in the Quran seem to deliberately contradict the biblical proclamation about Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. So herefore we have what they're trying to do, all right, is form their own path. Here's where these times where they want to go their own separate ways. But you've already copied so much from the scriptures, it's like, why did you even do that to begin with? Why is there a book of Miriam or Mary? That's why people who follow this, actually, they really hate Yahweh Shah. You know, they really, I mean, wow. And who had a big part in that? Remember, these Edomites are tools. They've done this, all right, at the behest of the Most High. That's what they, what did King David say? Psalm 17 and 13. Let's get that real quick. You gotta understand that these people that were turned away because they thought, well, the Bible is this, is that, it doesn't do this, and this is what was purposely done, because the Most High don't want them. This is Psalm 17 and 13. Arise, O Most High Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And we also know that who are the wicked. Malachi, 1st chapter. All right, that's the nation of Edom, who you call the white man. All right, that's who we're dealing with. All right, so let's continue on. Hopefully, let's see how much. Oh, it's 20. Might as well say 26 minutes. All right, the Lord of mercy has begotten a son. Preach a. Wait a minute. It says, for example. All right. Indeed, some passages in the Quran seem to deliberately contradict the biblical proclamation about Yahweh Shah. For example, those who say the Lord of mercy has begotten a son preach a monstrous falsehood, Salakia, at which the very heavens might crack, the earth break asunder, and the mountains crumble to dust, that they should ascribe a son to the merciful when it does not become him to beget one. We understand the purpose of it. It does indeed. I just read Matthew 1:21. That was the purpose. All right, because we can't do it. Hebrews 9. We can't do it through the blood of goats, and we need a testator. We need, all right, because we've gone off so much. That was the only, of course, it says he came to fulfill the law, not to. Well, let's get that real quick because I don't want to say it. I want to give it to you because the only thing that changed was the law of sacrifice. That's why I brought up Hebrews. All right, here we go. That's Hebrews 9. All right. It says the earthly holy place. Then verily the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service. The first covenant, right? And a worldly sanctuary. For there was a tabernacle made, the first wherein was the candlestick, and the table and the shewbread, which is called the sanctuary. And after the second one, you understand what the Levites were for, what their duties were, all right? And after the second veil, the tabernacle, which is called the holiest of all, which had the golden censer and the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold, wherein was the golden pot that had manna, and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tables of the covenant. And over it the cherubims of glory shadowing the mercy seat, of which we cannot now speak particularly, all right? Because it's getting into what? Who, since that happened, who is now, all right, that sacrifice, all right? Now when these things were thus ordained, the priest went always into the first tabernacle, accomplishing the service of the Most High. The Levites, the priest, all right? But into the second went the high priest, only once every year, not without blood, which he offered for himself and for the errors of the people. The Holy Spirit, this signifying that the way into the holiest of all was not yet made manifest, while as the first tabernacle was yet standing, which was a figure for the time, all right, which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices that could not make him that did the service perfect, as pertaining to the conscience, which stood only in meats and drinks and divers washings and carnal ordinances imposed on them until the time of Reformation. This is what talking about what the Levites did, what their sole purpose was. All right, to make sacrifices to the Most High for the sins of the Israelites. That's what. All right, that's what that was their purpose and beings. All right, redemption through the blood of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. This is the Son's purpose. But HaMashiach Yahweh Shah being come and high priest of good things to come by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, our flesh needed something more than that, right? It says, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. This is why he had to come. This is why he was begotten, as they put it in that article. All right? Muslims can't understand this. All right? For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of an heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctify to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of HaMashiach Yahweh Shah, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to the Most High, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living power. This is how much he loved us, to come down here and go through what he did. Matthew 1 and 21. He came to what? Let's go back and get that again so you understand why he was on the scene. All right? Again, it was not for everybody. All right? Matthew, let's do it again. 1 and 21. And she, the she being Mary, shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushua. There's something called nomen est omen. All right? The name in itself tells you what that person will do. Then you have to go and say, well, what other name would be associated with that? So you think about with Joshua, and you break that down. All right? It just means he, the Redeemer, or he saves. That's it. It's simple. That's what he was doing. But save who? For he shall save his people from their sins. That's not talking about everybody on the planet. It never did and never will. All right, let's go back to the article. Let's see. In Surah 61, Yahushua is pictured as a prophet heralding the way for the coming of Muhammad. Thus, while respecting Yahushua as a prophet of the Most High, the Quran does not affirm the deity of Yahushua HaMashiach for his death as a substitute payment for sin. Sounds like John the Baptist, right? They did a switcheroo. Copycats. Islamic view of sin and humanity. Traditional Islamic teaching does not accept that humans were created in the image of the Most High. Islam has no doctrine of a sin nature and therefore does not believe that humanity is either depraved or fallen. So here you see another reason why these jakes are drawn to this bullshit. They do not want, it's in their spirit, not to want to obey the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. So they naturally gravitate to shit like this. It's in their spirit. They will never get it. They were never meant to. They've been purposely blinded, like I said before. These are those 2/3. All right, Islam classifies the entire human race into 4 categories. The first is Jahiliyah, meaning those in a state of ignorance. All right, in this case that applies, who do not have a monotheistic revelation and have not yet heard Muhammad's message. All right. The second are the al-Kitab, or people of the book. Okay. These are monotheistic people who have not received the Quran, but who have a book of revelation, such as Christians and Jews. So that's what they're talking about when they refer to us as people of the book. They're not necessarily talking about, well, the way this is worded, all right, they're trying to lump us all into the same. They're not, even though it says in certain surahs that, you know, we are to worship our people. It's going to explain it. It's kind of fucked up. It's going to explain it when I go on further down. The third category is Muslim, an Arabic word meaning those who submit. It refers to monotheists who have submitted to Allah and regard the Quran as Allah's greatest, some say eternal, revelation of Muhammad as the final seal of the prophets. The fourth category refers to those peoples who have heard the message of Islam but rejected it. The kafir, meaning unbeliever or infidel. This is some fucked up shit, but you can see this might, well, let me just keep reading. It says Islamic view of other religions. It says Muslims universally affirm that Islam is the highest and only non-corrupted religion. Christianity and Judaism are accorded some respect as monotheistic religions flowing from the Abrahamic tradition. All other religions are generally regarded as expressions of human ignorance and an unwillingness to submit to Allah. Islamic view of salvation says Muslims do not accept the doctrine of the fall or of a subsequent sin nature. There is no need of redemption. Islamic salvation is understood almost wholly as future deliverance from final judgment. Many Muslims maintain that whoever believes in the oneness of God and the prophethood of Muhammad will be saved from the fire of judgment. Okay. Other Muslims insist on submission to Allah through adherence to the 5 pillars of Islam: confession of faith, daily ritual prayer, and giving of alms, fasting during Ramadan, and a pilgrimage to Mecca based on revered Islamic traditions known as hadith. Some Muslims believe that Allah grants Muhammad the honor of interceding for the entire Islamic community at the final judgment. What did I read about Catholicism? None of this is universal when it comes to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High Yahweh, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. This is for a specific people only. You cannot convert to a bloodline. Islamic view of the Bible. Muslims universally regard the Bible as a corrupted text. I've heard that enough. The doctrine of corruption asserts that the transmission of Jewish and Christian texts was unreliable. Or Christians and Jews, why are you basing, give you a headache. Or Christians and Jews willfully altered the biblical text because of enmity or jealousy. On the other hand, the Quran does affirm Allah's sending revelation in the Torah and the Gospels. Furthermore, the Quran says that Yahweh Shah's words should be believed, and even commands the Muslims to listen to those who had the Torah before the Quran, calling it a truth come to thee from thy Lord. Islamic attitudes toward the use of violence. There is no single Islamic attitude toward the use of violence, and scholars of Islam are divided over the extent to which the Quran permits or even advocates violence against unbelievers. The Quran asserts that there should be no compulsion in religion and peacefully calls or invites people to follow Islam. The Quran also permits the use of violence in certain circumstances, and 2 texts in particular have sometimes been cited as justification for violence against unbelievers. Historically, the Islamic Caliphate extended protected status to other monotheistic religions and prohibited the exercise of violence against them as long as a special tax was paid. Wow. Wow. Okay. And yet, when I read the other article, when you talked about what Muhammad did, all right, how he degraded, is that the right word? Or he classified, rather, certain people to the point that gave whomever a license, he called them kafirs, right? That's the lowest form of human being you could be, all right? And you can see through the so-called, well, not so-called, but through the slave trade, all right, how that, what's the word I'm looking for? How that came to be, all right? What I tell you about the, it was, you had the Hamites, the so-called Africans. You had the Ishmaelites, so-called Arabs, and you had the so-called white man, the Edomite. All right, all came together to take us down. And when you go into Psalms 83rd chapter, verse 6 there, it gives you the Most High shit list. And who's at the top? The so-called white man. Who's second in command? The fucking Arabs. Ishmael. All right. Let's see. I might have to skip through this. Goes into martyrdom and stuff like that. Against civil government. Yeah, that's it. But I'll save this. Definitely. Because this is something you put in your arsenal. Since they like to talk shit about, the Israelites. So once again, these are people that, when they talk about this Abrahamic religion, they're not considering that the people that stole our identity. They can go to Isaiah 44 and 5, Ezekiel 36 chapter. That's prophecy right there. This shit will be done. The greatest case of stolen identity the world has ever known. Hey, so with that, I hope that you have been edified, and I'll put the link to this, of course, in the description box along with the other one. Yeah, but these jakes at the end of this, they'll come up talking about you don't have the knowledge. You don't know how fucking stupid you sound and look. All right. You don't have, that's that jailhouse shit, and it's at that point you just have to realize that they're gone, they're lost. It's not even a reason to get angry. It really isn't. It's they're yeah. I mean, it's not even worth dwelling on it anymore, but this is just something that if you want to use, hey, something you can put in your arsenal. All right. So with that, until the next video, hey, once again, damn, this year went by fast. It's 59 days and a wake up until another Eve of Destruction video comes about for the next year. Hey, so with that, until the next video, hey, shalom.